We knew that we had far too many juniors going into their junior year with undeclared majors. They were still in their junior year casting about what they were going to be, sort of like my daughter did. You know, and they were, it was a joke, Joe. She's going to give me grief afterwards. So, and of course, we know that that delays graduation. It causes students all kinds of problems. So we added some support to our advisors, and we worked with them and gave them some more resources to help them enforce our rules. And lo and behold, we reduced that problem by 38%. We significantly increased the number of students going into the honors problem just to make sure that Ed Taylor was a busy man. We did very well in that, and this year's entering classes significantly larger. We focused attention on getting students the classes they need when they need them, and that too has had great result. Now the Bothell campus, if you look at the percent of students who get the courses that they want and need, 96% of the classes that the Bothell campus students need, they're getting. At Tacoma, that number is slightly more than 90%. On the Seattle campus, it moved from 83% to 91% of the students all getting the classes that they wanted when they wanted them. Those are significant increases that I'm very happy to report. Most importantly, we saw our aggregate graduation rates for undergraduates move up pretty significantly from 70.6% to 74.2% in the past few years. Statistically, that is a really large point of growth. But the fact of the matter is, we've got a lot more to do in this whole realm, and we all know it. Our four-year graduation rates still aren't as good as our peers. We need to work hard on it. We have much that we have to do there. And when you look at our four-year graduation rates and even our six-year graduation rates for our minority students, there's a significant gap between those of majority students. We have to address those problems. We have to make sure that the persistence rate of our students of color is as good as it can be. We've made improvements to advising and counseling, that's clear, but we're nowhere near done with that task. We have to keep moving forward on it. We still have to provide them with more resources. In fact, we simply need more people working in those areas because we're asking too few people to do too much. We need to deliver now on the high demand opportunities that the legislatures presented us. They've given us funding for 1,700 new students. Now we need to make sure that in all the right areas we make room for them and we deliver, in fact, on our promises. We have to recognize that there are rapidly changing demographics in the state of Washington and across the nation, indeed around the world. And that poses some very interesting challenges for us. Just yesterday, I said in a meeting where we were looking at some issues that we have and how we support and provide educational access for students for whom English is not their native language. More and more of our students are coming to us having learned English as a second language, and they don't always have all the academic preparation they need, even though they have great grades and great test scores. And we need to work with those students to make sure they can be successful. We have to increase the international experiences of our students. We keep talking about globalization. I keep giving speech about all the wonderful things we're doing in that regard. And we have, in fact, increased the number of our undergraduates going abroad. And that's a good thing. But it's still the fact that nearly 90% of them never go abroad. 90%. That is not a success rate when 90% aren't getting what I consider to be one of the most important experiences of their lifetime. It's expensive, it's difficult, it's disruptive, but we need to work hard to find ways to make it accessible to more and more of our students. And finally, I know Eric Godfrey will be shocked to hear this and his colleagues in student services, but I happen to think our residence halls in Seattle and our student facilities on all three of our campuses could use a little work. They are not necessarily, our staff that works in those facilities does an unbelievably good job, but they do so with facilities that are older than me. The hub is in bad need of a facelift and renovation for the 21st century. We need to think about how the students use and need residential facilities and how we interact with the community around us if we're going to make our educational experience as strong a one as we'd like. Second issue that I mentioned last year was, 2 years ago, was what we could do in global health. At that point, the global health department was still a concept that Paul and his colleagues were pitching around, and Pat, you were all out selling it busily, and you had received some great support from the Gates Foundation and others, but you were just in the business of forming it. So in January of 2006, The department was finally launched. We now have King Holmes at the helm and Judy Wasserheit as vice chair. The program's doing incredibly well, and it's launched with great support and fanfare, including support from the legislature. And then this year we were able to add, as I mentioned, the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation that received terrific support from the legislature, and Chris Murray and his colleagues are going well. It is a great, great start. And it looks like an exciting and promising piece of the UW, just as we all knew it would. But we've got more work to do there, of course. The fact is that global health can and will, over the coming years, become a centerpiece of interdisciplinary work across the entire institution and across our campuses. It holds remarkable promise for bringing faculty, staff, and students together to do very important work. We need to work on that, and we will as the program grows. But I've also said in many settings, and we now have lots of people agreeing with us on this, that it's more than just the University of Washington. We have an incredible opportunity, and that opportunity is to make Washington State and Seattle the epicenter for global health research and policy and discussion for the entire planet. There is no reason in the world why we can't do that. Right now, it's kind of Zurich, Switzerland, but it's starting to drift here. Now, of course, the Gates Foundation is a huge part of that, and we all recognize that. But also the collection of other organizations that are forming around the Seattle area, forming here in Puget Sound, that are becoming attractors to other nonprofit organizations and governmental entities to start to see the Seattle area and Puget Sound as a place you go to do research, to do symposia, to run operations for global health. That's starting to occur, and we can accelerate that. Imagine if, for example, with the state and the city, we built a building, Daniel. Imagine a really cool building, because that's all you imagine. A really great building, say in South Lake Union, somewhere down where our other health sciences operations are, close to the Gates Foundation, down where PATH and some other operations are being run right now. And we made that available to any of the nonprofits that wanted to relocate from anywhere on earth to come here so that they could move from a high-cost place like Zurich. I mean, there's not many places where we're a low-cost provider, but compared to Zurich, we're one. They could relocate here. They could come and they could work with us, with our people, our students, our faculty. They could work with the leadership of the Gates Foundation. They could work with all the nonprofits that are here. That's a vision that we can pull off and we can do, I think, in a remarkably short period of time. The same kind of opportunity, of course, we've talked about many times, exists around work in the environment and sustainability. You know, much like global health, the UW already has a remarkable amount of work underway. It's quite extraordinary when you think about it, how well positioned we are in research and academic programs, and even in managing our own behavior as an organization so that we can push forward with work in the environment and on sustainability. The first thing among those that I want us to make sure we're not just good at, but exemplary at, is the way we manage our own enterprise, the way we run the University of Washington. It's insufficient that we give lots of speeches and do research, as important as that is, and teach our students about these questions. We have to make sure that we're engaged in best practices, that we are doing what we know is the right thing to do, even sometimes when it hurts a little bit, because indeed sometimes it does cause a little pain and angst. We are doing many great things, and we're getting lots of attention for it. Tomorrow we're going to be, in fact, cutting a ribbon on the Benjamin Hall Interdisciplinary Research Building. Ben Hall building is a LEED Gold certified building, and it's a model for the way we're doing construction. We've seen awards go to our buildings at the Tacoma campus. We've seen great restoration going on at the Bothell campus wetlands. In fact, the Sierra Club has now recognized the Tacoma campus for its revitalization and recycling of great old buildings. We're a charter member. In fact, we're leadership circle members of the President's Climate Commitment, a coalition of university presidents committed to these ideas. We've made some terrific strides in the reductions of the use of water and energy over the years, and we've even gone so far as to change the kinds of cleaning materials that we use in our facilities. Folks have been great partners in all of that. But again, I think we're just beginning to scratch that surface.